guys, and welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. If it's your first time here, welcome to my channel. My name's Abby, and I'm a homeschooling mom of 2 high schoolers. And I like to just share all things related to home and garden and homeschooling and things of that nature with you, or anything I find interesting. But one of the big things I like to do is document kind of my goals and intentions and kind of the progress towards them. And January was just such a rough month in a lot of ways. And I noticed some things about myself near the end of the month that I wasn't liking. And I really had to do some, reevaluation of things and some self-reflection and a lot of prayer, to figure out how I could get kind of my heart in the right place, my mindset in the right place going into February. So today I thought I'd take you through some of the things that I realized and some changes that I'm going to make and what it is that I'm hoping to achieve in this coming month. So as far as our homeschool goes, I have a goal of getting the rest of our curriculum chosen this month. I've actually chosen more than half of what we're going to be using next year. And you might say that sounds really early to have that decision made, but there are some things that are going to, cycle from my oldest to my son, who's a year younger. And there are some new things that we know that we want to do for sure. And in fact, I've purchased those curriculums that I have a firm decision like, hey, we're going to do this. And so I just have a few other subjects to choose with each of the kids. And I may not order them all this month. I try to space out the purchasing a little bit, because budget. But I do want to have it all chosen. And that way I have some time for it to get here. I have plenty of time to purchase it. And if it comes and something changes and I'm like, change my mind, I have time to return it and get something different, and I'm not scrambling. Plus, it'll give me a chance to be able to share things with you guys near the end of this school year, so you have plenty of time if you wish to get those similar curriculums. So that's kind of one of my big goals for this month to do. The other thing is we are working on some botany hands-on projects. So my daughter has been doing guest hollow botany this whole year and learning so much about everything from different types of plants to seeds, getting things started, composting, different ways that plants will grow and how to help them be better producers and things like that. And so we are really trying to put that into practice. Again, it's February, so it's not like we're going outside and planting the garden. But the winter months, if you're a gardener, are very big on planning. Now, I have this little notebook I put together, gardening journal, and it's filled with printables that I found free that are fantastic for garden planning. There's things on here for tracking seeds, for tracking where you're going to plant things, planning out your garden space, determining yields, coming up with task lists to do for each month. And while I'm not expecting my daughter to take a hands-on role in every aspect of the garden, things like pruning perennials and when we fertilize the roses and things like that. But we are really focusing on getting the vegetable and the cut flower garden going. And so I'm going to have her actually doing the garden planning with me as far as figuring out how many seed starts do we need to do? When do we need to start them in order to have them at the right level of growth to plant out in our garden space after we're past our first frost date? She's shown a lot of interest in it, and this is just a great life skill, I think, to have. I mean, you think about it, for years and years, people would have home gardens and victory gardens, and then it kind of fizzled out for a while, and it felt like it's really made a comeback. People wanting to get out in their yards, growing their own produce, growing flowers and things like that, and I really want to cultivate the love for that with her. I've seen the spark of interest, and so I want to help it continue to grow. So we're really going to be taking a lot of the information that she's been finding in these books she's reading for the Guest Hollow Botany program, and we're going to be putting them into practice. In fact, we'll have a video coming up later in the month where she and I will kind of show what it is that she's been working on and what it is she's been learning about it along the way, and taking you a bit through how we're planning to set up our garden. So if you are looking to maybe start a garden in your own yard or looking for ways to improve your garden, hopefully that will provide you with some information there. But so we are going to be doing the gardening journal, and we'll show you all of the different things that are included in that when we do that video this month. But she's pretty excited to have that as a project, and I'm really excited to have her working alongside me this year out in the garden more. So another thing I'm hoping to reintroduce in our homeschool this month is Bible journaling. We started doing this a few years ago, and then I don't know why we stopped, but we did. And we had loved it so much that I'm hoping to bring it back. Now, we do a lot of deep dive Bible study. We do the daily grace code studies. We're doing the Old Testament studies. But I thought maybe one day a week we could, take a pause on those and instead look at a verse or a lesson we had done earlier in the week and spend a day Bible journaling instead. This could also be called visual faith journaling, I think is the other term that people commonly use. So if you're not familiar with Bible journaling, there's actually Bibles that are made for this. This is from Crossway. This is the first one that I ever got. And if you look at it, basically the pages have these larger borders that allow you to kind of draw or sketch or make notes or whatever it is you want to do. And so I have done some different pages. So again, this was my first one that I got. And so I was really learning, but this was like my Proverbs 31. I don't know if it's in focus. There we go. And, not everybody feels comfortable with the idea of, drawing in a Bible. And I get that. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I found that it was a really great way to really spend some significant time reflecting on a verse or a Bible study and thinking about, what did that mean to me? What was it that stood out to me from a particular passage, and how, can I express that? And so, when we would go through and do these, we would all work on the same passage or the same verse, and we'd each create something in our individual Bible journals, and then we'd share them with one another. And my daughter loves, art. She's constantly drawing and painting it. But my son's not very big into art. He was never interested in art projects, but he actually really enjoyed this. So I don't know why we stopped, but I would love to bring it back. Again, just as a way to kind of reflect on what it is we studied earlier in the week, and then, create something. So I'll be pulling these back out for the kids, and I have a lot of different things that we use for it. In fact, I'll try to insert some footage of some of the stuff I have. I have special types of paints and ganaches and things like that you can work into these. And what's funny is that I had gotten so into this that my husband had bought me one of these Dayspring journaling Bibles. So these are like the creme de la creme of Bible journaling. They have much thicker pages, so you don't have to worry about like bleed through when you're painting or drawing. So it's much thicker, and you can see that it is huge. Like there's so much space to fill in here. And I'm embarrassed to say that not long after I got this is when we kind of like went away from regular Bible journaling, and I've got like five pages in here done. And I'm like, that's just so sad, because I was so into this. I mean, I filled so many pages of this, and then I got this beautiful book, and I haven't really utilized it. So I will definitely be pulling this one out when I'm doing the Bible journaling day with the kids. And if you kind of want to see what it is we do with that, and how we use the materials and how we kind of incorporate that into a Bible study, I will be sure to include that probably in like one of our day in the life videos, just showing you what it is that we're working on and what it is we create for the day. Okay, so home. If you haven't noticed, I have posted a couple of videos lately kind of related to cleaning and decluttering and reorganizing. I did 2 closets that were driving me absolutely bat crap crazy. They were so bad. And every time I would open them, like my stress levels went up. And I'm not really one who does like that big yearly purge, go room to room and clear everything out and things like that. it kind of has happened naturally a little bit the last couple of years because we did so much remodeling. And when you do that, things have to come out of the room and then things go back in and then you just add to it. So I find that every couple of years, some part of the house just gets where it's like, this needs help. And so I want to try to tackle just a few more spaces this month that have been just kind of like trigger sites for me. When I'm in there, I'm kind of like, oh, if I don't fix this, I'm going to lose my mind. One of them is my craft room. So I have a room that is filled with all of my crafting stuff and my sewing stuff. I don't think I've actually shown you guys that room yet, but I will probably put that in a video because I have quite a few things in there that I think you might be interested in seeing. But I quilt and I sew and I have a Cricut and just a whole bunch of stuff, and it has gone nuts. I have like piles of fabric everywhere and partial projects everywhere, and just, and it's really hard to sit and kind of be creative and get into those things when you look around the room and it just stresses you out. So I really need to tackle that space. It's just bad. So the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I felt like my attitude wasn't very good in January and that I was almost bitter about things. And one of the reasons why it was kind of upsetting me that I was acting that way is because none of the things that were making me busy or overwhelmed were things that I didn't choose. I choose to run a part-time business. I choose to create videos for YouTube now. I choose to homeschool. I choose to have these like big extensive garden. Like these things that keep me busy are choices I made, and I made those choices because those were things that made me happy, that brought me joy, that allowed me to be creative, that I felt had a purpose. And I would kind of say to myself, like, what right do you have to feel bitter about this? These are choices you made. And then that made me feel more bitter. So I spent a lot of time kind of in prayer and reflection. And I kept going back to verses that kind of drew me to the idea of being a loving servant and serving joyfully. I mean, that doesn't mean like I'm gonna, I'm not gonna whistle while I work and do the laundry. I'm not Snow White, and I'm not gonna pop into a happy working song or anything like that. But am I approaching things with the right mindset and with the right heart set, if that makes sense? Am I serving joyfully? That's what I meant to say. And it brought me back to something that I had read last year. I read The Life-Giving Home by Sally Clarkson. So if you've read any of Sally Clarkson's books, you know that they're amazing. And I went back through because I had recalled some passages in The Life-Giving Home regarding serving joyfully. I thought, well, I better read it again. And there is a section in here where she's talking about the Bible story where we're at the Last Supper, and despite everything he knows is going to happen and everything he has to be feeling and the heaviness that had to be on his heart, Jesus chose that moment to lovingly serve his disciples by washing their feet. He wasn't thinking of himself, he was thinking of an act of love towards them. And she says in this section, and so in pondering, I must ask myself, does my heart remain humble as I serve my family in our home? As I wash dishes, plan a meal, clean a toilet, are my words life-giving and generous, serving to strengthen those who share my home? Is my heart, like the heart of Jesus, always on those I serve? And then a little bit later, most of my life has become a habitual prayer breath to God. When the weariness of life tilts my attitude towards grumbling instead of finding joy in service, I am slowly learning to make my efforts at serving those in my home a prayer of worship to my servant King, who has given so generously to me. And that's when I realized that, I think the whole month of January, God was really trying to send me a message. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, like, oh my gosh, this message has been so clear. How did I miss this? We have been doing Old Testament Bible studies for our homeschool. We've been looking at Nehemiah, and we talked about how Nehemiah, his first response to everything was prayer. Go to prayer first. Go to prayer first. He'd pray for months about something before he'd make a decision. And then we were doing God's Old Testament people, and we were in the wandering in the wilderness portion, and how despite all of the stuff that God was providing for them, food and water and guidance and direction and the commandments and statutes on how to live a good life, all they would do is grumble. They complained about it, oh, here's food to eat to nourish you. And they're like, well, I don't like this food. It was just this constant grumbling about the gifts they'd been given. And then reading this again, and I realized that's what I spent January doing. I looked at these gifts, and instead of finding joy in them, and then instead of finding, joy in serving my family and serving others, I was griping about it like all the time. And that's when I realized I really have to have a heart change this month. I need to, look at everything as, doing this with a joyful spirit. Am I ever going to love laundry or dishes? Probably not. But can I do it knowing that it's an act of love towards my family? Yes. Will I have to probably remind myself daily that that's what it is? Absolutely. I will probably have to remind myself every day that I can do this as an act of love. When I feel, overwhelmed by things going on at work, I have to remind myself that the care I provide patients at my nursing job, that is me getting to show God's love and how I care for them. And it's a blessing that he's given me this job that provides for our family, that, allows me to have that sense of purpose, that allows me to help people heal. That is a blessing, and I need to be thankful for it. And I need to go into each day feeling thankful and joyful for that gift. Same thing with homeschooling. Some days in January were just, I love my kids. Sometimes you have to sit there and you have to go, I love my children. I love my children. I might not like them today, but I love my children. And yeah, we have those. And I need to remind myself, why is it we homeschool? And be thankful for this incredible blessing of getting to spend each day with my teenagers, growing closer to them as opposed to farther away from them. So that's really kind of my big personal thing, is to find more joy every day in the things I'm doing. So I think that sums up all my goals for the month of February. If you have anything special you're working on in your home or in your homeschool, I'd love to hear about it down below in the comments. Something I wanted to remind everybody about was a giveaway that I have going on. You've heard me rave about Guest Hollow curriculums in previous videos, and recently I did a video reviewing their brand new curriculum, Government Econ and Personal Finance. I got a chance to have a preview of it and go through it, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. But check out that review video. I will link it down below in the description box. I talk all about what's included in the program, the things that it covers, and what I like about it. Now, at the end of that video, I talk about a giveaway that I'm doing in the month of February. So be sure to check it out. You'll hear the giveaway information at the end, and then you can leave a comment on that video, and the winner will be announced at the end of this month. And before you go, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Those are just free ways that you can help support my channel. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.